The night was cold and silent when Elias Turner finally reached his small frontier cabin. He had spent the whole day repairing signal towers at the edge of the colony. His clothes were dusty. His back hurt. All he wanted was a warm drink and some quiet. He pushed open the door and stepped inside. The soft cabin lights flickered for a moment, like they were unsure he had really returned. He let out a long breath and placed his tools on the floor. But then he froze. Something was wrong. Very wrong. The cabin smelled different. Not bad. Not good. Just unfamiliar. A faint sweet scent in the air, like flowers he had never smelled before. He frowned and walked further inside. The wooden floor creaked under his boots. His eyes scanned the room carefully. The kitchen light was on. He remembered turning it off when he left in the morning. Elias stepped closer, slow and silent. His heart beat harder with every step. He reached the doorway, placed his hand on the wall, and leaned in to look. That's when he saw them. Two small figures were standing in his kitchen. Two little girls. Not human. Their skin had a soft silver glow, and their eyes were bright, like tiny moons. They stood close together, hands tightly locked, scared of something he couldn't see. Elias's breath caught. His mind raced. Why were alien children inside his cabin? How did they get in? Were they dangerous? Before he could speak, one of the girls stepped forward. Her voice was soft, shaky, like she was trying not to cry. "Please, don't be angry," she whispered. "We didn't want to come here. We had no choice." Elias didn't move. He didn't blink. The other girl spoke next, her voice even quieter. "Our mother, she is gone." A thick silence filled the room. The wind outside scratched against the windows. The cabin lights flickered again. Elias slowly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "Who are you?" he asked carefully. "What happened to your mother?" The girls shook their heads. Tears formed in their silver eyes. "We don't know," the older one whispered. "She told us to run. She told us to hide. And she told us to find you." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. Find him? Why him? He took a small step forward, keeping his voice calm, steady. "You need to explain everything. How did you even get inside my home?" The girls looked at each other. Their small bodies trembled. The younger one pointed at the back door. "We didn't open it. It opened by itself," she said. "Something brought us here." Something? Elias felt the hairs on his neck rise. He walked to the window and looked outside. The forest surrounding his cabin was dark, almost pitch black. But then, something moved. A shadow. Tall. Slow. Watching. The girls gasped when they saw the same thing. "They're still looking for us," the older girl whispered. "We can't go back. We can't leave. Not tonight." Elias turned away from the window. He understood one thing now. Whatever forced these alien girls into his home was still out there. And it was not friendly. He locked the door. He checked the windows. He grabbed a flashlight and his old service knife. "Listen," he said, kneeling so he was level with them. "You're safe here. But you must tell me everything. Who took your mother? Why did she send you to me? What is out there in the dark?" The older girl wiped her tears. Her voice was barely a whisper. "It wasn't humans," she said. "It wasn't animals. It was something else." The window rattled. The lights dimmed. A deep humming sound pulsed through the cabin walls. Elias felt his chest tighten. Whatever came for these children had now found him too. The cabin felt smaller now. Tighter. Almost like the walls were listening. Elias stood still for a moment as the humming sound faded, leaving behind a cold silence. The two alien girls sat close together at the kitchen table, both shaking. Elias took a slow breath and moved toward them. He kept his voice calm. "All right, start from the beginning. Tell me what happened to your mother." The older girl, Lyra, lifted her eyes. Their glow was dimmer than before. "Our mother is a researcher," she said. "She came to this planet to study the strange energy under the ground. She always said the energy was alive, awake." The younger girl, Miri, nodded quickly. Then something changed. The ground began to tremble at night, and strange voices came from the forest. Elias frowned. Voices? From what? Both girls looked toward the window, like they expected something to appear. Lyra whispered, "Not creatures. Not animals. Something else. Something that should not exist." A chill ran through Elias. He sat down across from them. "So how did you end up here?" "Why me?" Lyra wiped her face with the back of her small silver hand. "Mother knew your name. She said you were different. That humans have a strong mind. A strong heart." She held onto her sister's hand tightly. "She said if anyone could protect us, it was you." Elias blinked, confused. He had never met their mother. He had no connection to alien researchers, but he pushed the thought aside. The girls needed answers more than he needed logic. What happened the night she disappeared? He asked. The girls exchanged a terrified look. Miri's voice was tiny when she spoke. They came. Who? The Watchers, Lyra whispered. Elias felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What are the Watchers? They don't walk like us. They don't speak like us. They don't even breathe air, Lyra said, trembling. They live inside the energy under the ground. They rise only when the planet feels threatened. Miri pointed at the floorboards. We heard them moving under our feet, and then they came out of the earth like shadows. Elias leaned back slowly, letting the information sink in. Creatures rising from the earth? Living inside energy fields? It sounded impossible, but the fear in the girl's eyes was very real. And your mother? He said quietly. Lyra swallowed hard. They took her. She tried to send us away. She pushed us toward our shelter pod and closed it from the outside. Her voice cracked. We heard her scream. Then everything went silent. The younger girl wiped her tears. The pod moved on its own. It flew across the valley and brought us here. Elias stared at them. The pod brought you to my cabin. Lyra nodded. It had your address. Your name. Elias felt the weight of the room shift. This was not an accident. Someone, maybe the mother herself, had planned for the girls to end up in his care. But why? He stood up and paced across the room. His boots echoed loudly on the wooden floor. Listen, he said firmly. You two are safe with me. But tomorrow, we need to leave this cabin and get help from the colony outpost. Both girls suddenly shook their heads. Their voices were loud and urgent. No, you can't take us there. Elias stopped. Why not? Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. Because the Watchers followed us. And they know you are helping us. Before Elias could respond, the entire cabin shuddered. The plates on the shelves rattled. The windows buzzed like something was pressing against the glass. The girls screamed and covered their ears. Elias grabbed his flashlight and knife again. His eyes locked on the door. Something scraped across the porch, slow, heavy, unnatural. A shadow passed by the window. Tall, thin, wrong. Lyra whispered through her shaking hands. They found us. They found you. Elias stood firm. Fear tightened his chest, but he didn't step back. He held his ground. Because humans don't run. Humans don't break. And tonight, something ancient had come to challenge him. And he would not let it take these children too. The cabin shook again. This time harder. Dust drifted from the ceiling. The lights blinked like weak stars about to die. Elias Turner stood in the center of the room with his knife in one hand and a flashlight in the other, listening closely to the world outside. Everything was too quiet, too controlled, like the forest was holding its breath. The girls hid under the table, arms around each other, their silver eyes wide and terrified. Elias crouched beside them. Stay low. Do not move unless I tell you, he whispered. Then the scratching sound returned. Slow, deep, like long claws dragging across the wooden boards of his porch. Elias moved to the door, every sense sharpened. He switched off the lights to keep the inside dark. The only glow came from the silver moonlight leaking through the curtains. He placed his hand on the doorframe and listened. A faint rumble came from the ground. Not thunder, not machinery, something alive beneath the soil. He swallowed hard. He needed information. He needed to see the threat. With slow, steady hands, he lifted the corner of the curtain and peeked outside. At first he saw nothing. Only the dark forest swaying slightly in the cold wind. But then, the trees shifted in a strange rhythm, as if something enormous was walking between them. Two glowing dots appeared in the darkness. Eyes. Watching him. Not blinking. Not human. Elias dropped the curtain. His pulse hammered in his ears. It's out there, he whispered. Lyra's voice trembled. One of the Watchers? Elias nodded. Maybe, but it's keeping its distance for now. He didn't like that. Predators kept distance before they attacked. He checked his scanner, an old device he hadn't used in months. The screen flickered weakly but then caught a signal. 3 life forms outside. 1 at the porch. 2 moving behind the cabin. Their patterns didn't match any known species in the colony database. Miri crawled closer. They're searching for us, she whispered. They can sense our energy. Elias's eyes narrowed. Then we need to move before they surround us. He grabbed his gear bag and stuffed in essentials, extra battery cells, water pouches, a med kit, and an old flare gun. He also grabbed a thick thermal cloak and wrapped it around the girls. But just as he reached for the back door, the floor trembled violently. The table rattled. A loud thud hit the roof, followed by a scraping sound like something huge crawling across the cabin. Mary screamed. Elias clamped a hand gently over her mouth. "Quiet," he whispered. "We stay smart. Not scared." Another thud. This one heavier. The creature on the roof moved toward the chimney. Lyra's face drained of color. "It can smell us." "They do not see through eyes. They see through heat." Elias acted fast. He grabbed a metal pan from the kitchen and threw it into the far corner. The loud clatter echoed through the cabin. Instantly, the creature shifted direction. The roof groaned under its weight as it crawled toward the noise. Elias used the moment. He opened the floor hatch, a narrow escape tunnel he had dug long ago for storms and emergencies. He motioned urgently. "Down. Now." The girls obeyed, sliding into the dim tunnel beneath the cabin. Elias followed, pulling the hatch shut just as a heavy claw smashed through the roof above. The creature growled, a deep, vibrating sound that echoed through the wooden beams. Elias whispered, "Move. Crawl fast." The tunnel was cramped and dusty, but it led into the forest about 50 meters away. They crawled on hands and knees, the earth cold against their skin. Above them, the ground shook as more watchers gathered. The creatures seemed to be communicating through vibrations. A strange humming surged through the soil like a warning. Finally, they reached the tunnel exit. Elias pushed open the hidden hatch covered in leaves. Cool night air rushed in. But the forest was no longer quiet. The trees vibrated softly. The ground pulsed with energy. Lyra grabbed Elias's arm and whispered, "They know we escaped." Elias lifted his head, scanning the darkness. "Then we stay ahead. Humans don't wait to die." He took both girls by the hand. And together, they ran into the glowing forest, chased by shadows older than anything humanity had ever faced. Elias pushed through the thick trees with the girls close behind him. The forest was alive with strange blue lights, tiny floating particles drifting like fireflies, glowing softly between the branches. The ground vibrated in slow pulses, almost like a heartbeat. They moved quickly but carefully, keeping low. Every sound echoed too loudly. Every broken twig felt like danger. Elias looked back every few seconds, checking for movement. He couldn't see the watchers, but he felt them, like a cold wind crawling across the back of his neck. The girls whispered behind him, trying not to cry. Lyra clutched Miri's hand tightly. "This path leads to the Silent Valley," she said. "Mother took us there once. It hides our energy signatures." "Good," Elias said. "That gives us time to plan." He didn't say the other truth. He had no idea how long time would last. After 20 minutes of careful travel, the trees opened into a wide clearing. The ground was covered in glowing grass, tall and soft, rippling like waves. The sky above was brighter here, almost silver. The Silent Valley, a place where the planet's energy hummed quietly, masking all living forms. Miri pointed at a cluster of rocks ahead. "We can rest there." Elias nodded and led them behind the rocks. He knelt, placing his hand on the ground to check for vibrations. "Less movement here. Good sign." He turned to the girls. "All right, tell me more about these watchers. What do they want with you?" Lyra hesitated. Her small shoulders shook. "Our mother discovered something. Something the watchers were protecting for centuries. She believed the energy under the ground was not just energy, it was a message." "A message?" Elias asked. Miri nodded. "A warning. The watchers rise when the message is disturbed. They saw our mother as a threat." Elias frowned. This planet was supposed to be uninhabited except for colony staff. No one mentioned ancient guardians. No one mentioned messages buried in the earth. He looked around the valley. "How many of them are there?" Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. "Hundreds. Maybe more. They don't live like we do. They wait inside the ground. They feel everything. Every step. Every vibration." A chill slid down Elias's spine. "Then why aren't they attacking us now?" The girls exchanged a worried look. "Because they're gathering," Miri said softly. "They never attack alone." Elias stood slowly, eyes scanning the edge of the valley. The forest line looked normal at first, until he noticed something off. The trees were swaying, not with the wind, but with rhythm. A slow, unnatural rhythm. His heartbeat quickened. "We need to move again." But before they could leave, a deep sound rose from the valley floor. The same humming they heard earlier, but louder now, spreading through the air like a slow drumbeat. The glowing grass flattened as if pushed down by invisible hands. The girls gasped and pressed close to Elias. "What's happening?" he asked. Lyra pointed to the center of the valley. The soil there was opening, splitting into a thin crack that grew wider, glowing bright blue. Something was rising. Elias pulled the girls behind him instinctively. The ground trembled under his boots. A figure emerged from the glowing crack, tall, slim, its body made of shifting lines of light and shadow. Not fully solid, not fully real. A watcher, but different from the ones at his cabin. This one felt ancient, higher ranked. Its head turned toward them, moving in slow, smooth arcs. It didn't walk. It hovered above the ground, its form shifting like smoke trapped inside glass. The girls clung to Elias, shaking. The watcher extended a long, luminous arm. Instead of attacking, it traced symbols in the air, glowing lines that formed a shape Elias did not recognize. The symbols pulsed, then vanished. Lyra's eyes widened. "It wants to talk. It can talk," Elias whispered. "Not with words," Miri said. "With energy. With memory." The watcher's glow brightened. A wave of heat rolled through the valley. Elias felt scenes flash in his mind, images he had never seen. A buried chamber deep underground, a massive blue crystal pulsing like a living heart, and the girl's mother reaching toward it. Then the crystal shattered, and the vision ended. Elias staggered back, gasping. Sweat dripped down his forehead. "Your mother broke something." "No," Lyra said softly. She tried to understand it. The watcher floated closer. Elias raised his knife instinctively, but the creature stopped just a few meters away. It lifted its hand again and pointed directly toward the distant mountains. Lyra whispered, "Mother is that way." The watcher dissolved into light and vanished. The valley fell silent again. Elias stood firmly, gripping his knife. "Then that's where we're going," he said. "Tonight, humans run toward danger, not away from it." The path toward the mountains was steep and jagged, carved by centuries of shifting earth. Elias moved carefully, guiding the girls through narrow ridges and slippery stone. The night sky had changed again, no longer purple, now a strange pale white, almost glowing. Something in the air felt charged, alive, waiting. Lyra's small voice broke the silence. "Mother used to say the mountains were sleeping giants. She said they held secrets older than any species." Elias gave a short nod. "Then let's hope those secrets help us, not kill us." They continued moving until they reached a cliff overlooking a long canyon. Down below, veins of blue energy pulsed like lightning trapped under the rock. The entire canyon floor glowed faintly, lighting their faces from below. Miri clung to Elias's arm. This is where the Watchers were born." Elias breathed deeply. "Then your mother must be close." But as they descended into the canyon, the air grew colder, unnaturally cold. The ground trembled in slow waves, not violent, but powerful enough to make the rocks shift under their feet. Halfway across the glowing canyon, Lyra suddenly stopped. "Elias, do you hear that?" He listened. A faint sound, like a human voice calling from deep underground. A woman's voice. Faint, broken, crying for help. The girls gasped. "Mother!" Without thinking, they ran ahead. Elias chased after them, heart pounding, shouting for them to stop. The canyon floor split open as if reacting to their presence. A crack formed, thin at first, then widening, revealing a staircase spiraling downward into blue light. The voice came again, clearer this time. "Lyra, Miri." Elias grabbed the girls' hands before they dove in blindly. "Stay behind me," he said. "No more running ahead. Whatever is down there is ancient, dangerous, and alive." They nodded, trembling. He led the way down the staircase. Each step hummed with energy. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became, almost like the earth itself was breathing around them. At the bottom, they entered a massive underground chamber. The walls glowed with shifting symbols. In the center, suspended in a cocoon of blue energy, was their mother. Her body floated weightlessly, arms limp, eyes closed. The girls ran to her. "Mother!" But Elias grabbed them just in time. "Wait, something's wrong." The cocoon pulsed violently, sending ripples of light across the chamber. Symbols around them lit up faster, like warning signs. Elias scanned the area, searching for threats. Then he saw movement. A watcher emerged from the far wall, its form different from the others, larger, its glow brighter. It moved slowly, deliberately, as if studying them. Lyra stepped forward despite Elias's grip. "Why won't you release her?" she cried. The Watcher tilted its head. The chamber lights dimmed. Blue energy traveled through the walls and into the cocoon, causing the mother to stir, her fingers twitching. Elias's eyes narrowed. "It's not killing her. It's keeping her alive." Miri whispered, "Why?" The Watcher raised its hand. A stream of symbols appeared in the air, fast, complex, ancient. Elias couldn't understand them, but the girls could. Their eyes widened. Lyra translated in a trembling voice. Her mind touched the core. She saw something the Watchers cannot erase. Elias stepped forward. What did she see? The symbols changed. A heartbeat-like pulse spread across the chamber. Another vision flashed in all their minds. A gigantic crystal buried deep in the planet. Cracks running across its surface. A storm of energy spreading through the ground. And beyond that, a massive object approaching from space. Something metallic. Something alive. The vision faded. Miri clutched her chest. The core is breaking, and something is coming. Elias felt his throat tighten. A threat. Lyra nodded. The Watchers are guardians. They weren't attacking us. They were preparing. The mother's cocoon dimmed and slowly opened, lowering her gently to the ground. Elias rushed forward, catching her before she collapsed. Her voice was weak, barely above a whisper. "They're not our enemies," she breathed. "They needed to protect the planet's heart. But now it's too late. The thing in the sky, it's coming for all of us." Before Elias could respond, the entire chamber shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling. The energy veins in the walls flickered like dying stars. The mother opened her eyes fully. "Elias, take the girls. Get them out. Now." A deep rumble echoed through the chamber. No longer natural, no longer from the Watchers. Something else had arrived. Something far worse. Elias lifted the mother onto his shoulder. "Then we run," he said. "Because humans don't break. And tonight, we survive." The chamber shook again, this time so violently that cracks spread across the ceiling. Elias grabbed the mother tightly and pulled Lyra and Miri close. The blue symbols on the walls flickered like fading stars. The ground trembled with a deep, unsettling rhythm. Something huge was moving above them. Something heavy. Something not from this planet. The mother whispered, her voice tired but urgent. "The core has been disturbed. The Watchers cannot hold it together alone. We must leave, now." Elias nodded. "Move. Stay behind me." He helped the mother stand, keeping one arm around her. The girls held on to each other. They ran up the glowing staircase as the chamber roared behind them. Blue light shot from the walls in wild bursts. The planet itself seemed to scream. Halfway up, the staircase cracked beneath their feet. Elias shoved the girls ahead. "Go. Don't stop." A section of the stairs collapsed, falling into the darkness below. Elias sprang forward, grabbing the mother and leaping to the next safe step. His boots hit hard stone, but he kept his balance. The moment they reached the canyon surface, the world had changed. The sky, once silver, was now torn open with dark spirals of energy. Strange streaks of red light cut through the clouds. The air vibrated with a low hum, almost like a machine waking from a long sleep. Elias narrowed his eyes. "That's no storm." The mother pointed upward with a shaking hand. "It's here." Through the swirling clouds, something metallic broke through the sky, a massive, dark structure descending like a fallen star. Its edges shimmered with red light. The ground quaked with every second it drew closer. Lyra gasped. "That thing, that's what the core warned us about." Miri clung to her sister. "It's coming for the planet." Elias felt his heart tighten. "Then we won't let it." But before they could move, a familiar sound rose behind them, a deep vibrating hum. Watchers began emerging from the ground around the canyon, rising in tall, glowing shapes. Dozens of them, maybe more. Lyra pulled on Elias's sleeve. "They're not here to fight us. They're here to defend the planet." The mother nodded weakly. "They sensed what's approaching. They want us far from the center. The core will overload soon." Elias looked from the descending alien structure to the glowing Watchers around them. Two different forces, one ancient, one unknown, about to collide. "We need to reach the ridge," he said. "High ground gives us a better chance." They ran toward the canyon wall. The mother stumbled, but Elias picked her up again. The ground shook violently. Huge chunks of earth split open. Blue energy erupted from the cracks. Watchers formed a protective circle around the group as they climbed. Their glowing bodies flickered, absorbing shock waves from beneath. Halfway up the ridge, a deafening sound ripped through the sky, a metallic scream. The giant structure above fired a red beam straight toward the canyon. Elias shouted, "Down!" He covered the girls with his body as the beam hit the ground. A shockwave exploded outward. Rocks shattered. Trees disintegrated. Energy roared across the valley like a tsunami. But the watchers moved as one. Their glowing bodies merged into a single wall of light, shielding Elias and the girls. The beam hit the barrier and split into smaller streams. The canyon floor glowed red and blue. The mother cried out, "They're sacrificing their energy to protect us." The barrier held, cracking, shaking, dimming, but it held. Elias pulled the girls up as the ridge collapsed behind them. "Move. Higher." They reached the top, just as the watcher barrier shattered with a thunderous burst. The watchers fell one by one, dissolving into streams of blue light that scattered across the ground. The girl screamed, "No!" The mother looked at the falling lights with tears in her eyes. "They gave their strength so we could escape." Elias clenched his fists. Rage and determination burned in his chest. "Then we finish what they started." Above them, the massive alien structure lowered even more, its red lights flickering like an awakened beast. The mother touched Elias's arm. "If we reach the old signal tower on the ridge, we can broadcast a pulse strong enough to shut down the invader's core. But we have minutes, maybe less." Elias looked at the tower, dark, old, half broken, but still standing. He lifted the girls into his arms. "Then we run. Humans don't wait for death." The wind roared. The sky shook. The alien machine descended with deadly purpose. And Elias Turner ran toward the tower, toward danger, toward humanity's last chance. Elias ran up the ridge with the girls beside him and the mother leaning against his arm. The wind howled as if the whole planet was crying out. The alien structure in the sky kept descending, massive, cold, unstoppable. Its red lights flashed like warning eyes watching their every move. The old signal tower stood crooked on the hill, half broken, half buried under vines. Its metal frame groaned with each blast of wind. Elias reached it first and quickly checked the control panel. Rusted, dead, long abandoned. The mother placed her hand on the panel. Blue energy sparkled from her fingertips. The machine flickered, coughed, then came to life. Screens glowed. Static buzzed through the air. "We can use the tower to broadcast a counterfrequency," she said weakly. "The invader uses a red pulse to weaken worlds. But this tower can release a blue pulse, one strong enough to stun it. But it will drain you," Elias said, understanding immediately. She nodded. "I don't have a choice. If we don't stop it now, the core will collapse, and this planet will die." Lyra grabbed her mother's hand. "Please, don't leave us again." The mother knelt, her knees shaking. "I will come back. I promise." But even her voice sounded unsure. Elias stepped closer. "Tell me what to do." She pointed to a set of levers and cables. "You must link the tower to the planet's energy veins. The Watchers opened them earlier. Use those lines. Connect the tower. Then, I will push the pulse." Elias didn't hesitate. He sprinted to the edge of the ridge where glowing blue veins of energy ran through the rocks like rivers of light. He pulled the thick cables and forced them into the ground. Each connection sent a shock through the tower, making it glow brighter. Below them, the giant alien structure opened panels along its sides. Red light gathered, swirling like a storm preparing to strike. Miri screamed, "It's charging again." Elias ran back. "Mother, do it now." She placed both hands on the control panel. Blue energy surged from her palms, rushing into the tower. Every wire lit up. The metal frame shook. A loud hum filled the air, deep, powerful, rising. The tower glowed with pure blue light. The alien machine fired the red beam. The pulse hit the ridge like a hammer. Elias threw himself over the girls, shielding them as the ground exploded. At that exact moment, the mother cried out and unleashed the blue pulse. It shot upward like a pillar of lightning, ripping through the sky and slamming directly into the descending structure. The world erupted in light, blue against red, clashing like two suns colliding. The shockwave blasted through the valley. Rocks shattered. Trees bent sideways. The ground cracked open. Elias felt himself lift off the ground before crashing back down. The girl screamed. The sky burned with flashing colors. Then, silence. A silence so deep it felt like time itself paused. Elias slowly opened his eyes. The alien structure no longer moved. Its red lights had died. It hung in the sky like a frozen shadow. He turned. The mother lay beside the tower, unconscious and fading. Her skin flickered like dying starlight. Lyra and Miri rushed to her. "Mother, wake up." Elias knelt beside them. "Stay with us. We're safe now." Her eyes opened slightly. "You saved them." She touched Elias's hand gently. "Thank you, human." Elias swallowed hard. "You did it. You're the reason we're alive." The mother smiled faintly. The tower, the pulse, it reached beyond the planet. Her voice softened. "The Watchers, they are calling back. Something bigger is coming." Elias stiffened. "Bigger? What do you mean?" Her glow dimmed again. The invader was only the scout. Lyra covered her mouth. Miri began to cry. Elias stood, looking at the dead sky. "Then we'll be ready." The mother's energy flickered again, brighter this time. Slowly, blue light wrapped around her body, lifting her slightly off the ground. Miri whispered, "Mother, what's happening?" The mother gave a soft smile. "The Watchers are calling me. I must go." Lyra cried, "No. Stay with us." She shook her head. "I will return. But I must stop the others before they reach this world." Her body turned into a beam of blue particles that floated upward, rising into the sky like a trail of stars. The girls reached out, but the light slipped through their fingers. Elias placed a hand on both their shoulders. "She's not gone. She's fighting for us." Above them, the massive alien structure cracked and fell apart, dissolving into dust that rained across the valley like red snow. The wind grew calm. The planet breathed again. The night fell quiet. Elias took a long breath. He looked at the girls, alone, trembling, but alive. He tightened his grip on his knife, staring into the dark horizon. "If something bigger is coming," he said softly, "then humanity will be waiting." The girls pressed against him as the first light of dawn touched the sky. A new day, a new war, a new beginning. The fight wasn't over. It had only just begun.